we're going to be going on to 10:35.
I know, right?
Let's see how we're going to work
I had so much fun last time I was here. Do you guys
You were on the breakdown, right?
Yeah. Do you guys
Okay,
pick
well,
up the Bible reading?
I just put it on. I put it on.
2 seconds.
it. Okay, in 2 seconds.
9, 8, 7, 6.
And what is your name?
Tracy.
4,
Skin and Door.
3,
Skin and Door.
Shannon, spell it.
SKENANDORE. The E is silent. Skin and Door.
Can she hear me, William?
Oh, good morning. Good morning.
She's on.
Good morning. Hello. How you doing? This is Miriam Gibson, the Village Voices. How you doing today? We're having an exciting show. We're trying to get the vote out, and we brought a young millennial on the show today, which is William McCurdy Jr. Okay.
And we also have a very special guest to give us a little bit of background about No on 3. What is it all about? Oh, now go.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Miriam Gibson. How you doing with the Village Voices? The Village Voices, as you know, is a show that keeps you involved politically, lets you know how to get involved politically, keep you up to date on the political issues that affect the community and the issues that affect the community. We're trying to get the vote out today. Get the vote out for the next election that's coming on, and we're trying to encourage everybody to come out and vote. Today we have a special guest. His name is William McCurdy II. He's he is also the State Assembly for Ward 6 and the chairman of the Nevada Democratic Party. And he are just here to let you know his story, how he became involved, and what he wants to encourage all the young people out there to get involved, and that let them know that they can make a difference in this political system. Okay, so William is native of Las Vegas. And he's also graduated from the CSN. Excuse me, brain freeze. Okay, but without further ado, I will let you, William, speak now.
Well, good morning, all of those who are listening, and
morning,
thank
William.
both you and Shannon for having me on this morning.
Thank you for
As you
coming.
stated,
Thank
again,
you.
my name is William McCurdy II. I am a Las Vegas native. I am also a graduate of the College of Southern Nevada, and I'm a student at UNLV in the Greenspun College of Urban Affairs. I am a proud native of the historic West Las Vegas area, and I've been here my entire life. And to all of you who are listening, I represent District 6, which is located in the Central Valley between the 95 freeway and Cheyenne. That's my north and south border. And my east border is Belmont, and my west border is all the way up at Decatur. So it's a pretty large district. It's about 64,000 folks in which I represent. And I am on this morning to talk to you about, number one, my story and where I come from briefly. And then why it is that I got involved and why it is that we need to have more younger people get involved. I was elected as a chairman of the Democratic Party at the age of 28 years old, the first African-American to be elected as state party chairman, and one of the youngest in modern history. But with that being said, I didn't just wake up one morning and, become this political guy. I was actually a high school dropout at the age of 17 years old, a teenage father, and I had to overcome some adversity that happened in my life. When I dropped out of school, I didn't know what it is that I was going to do, but I, picked myself up and I said that I wouldn't make my son a statistic, and I got to work, and I joined a union. I know that if you wanted to, make good wages and provide, for your family in a decent way, I knew that, one of the ways that I would be able to do so was joining a union. So I went on and, joined the Ironworkers Union. It was really, really tough, but I, suffered through it. And then I went over to the local laborers union, Local 872, and, worked my way up to become a construction foreman. And that was, brutal, but it was also very rewarding because we made, decent money. We worked 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. And little did I know my life was going to go through another shift. And everyone was laid off and the recession happened. And I had to recalibrate and, kind of refocus and see what it was that I was going to do next. So what I decided to do is go back and get my high school diploma at 24 years old in 2012. And I hadn't looked back since. I got my high school diploma. I, enrolled at the College of Southern Nevada, got involved with student government, became a student senator, then became the elected student body president, representing over 40,000 students, credited and uncredited at the College of Southern Nevada. Was very active there. Graduated in 2015 with honors, and just been grinding.
That seems a
Well, that's
great
been quite a
accomplishment,
journey.
William.
Yeah.
So is that what sparked your interest in getting in politics? What made you decide to get into the political system?
Well, when I got to CSN and I realized the type of impact that having representation could have, I knew that coming from a community like the one that I grew up in, my major cross streets was Lake Mead and J Street, and there's no secret that there are a lot of needs in the community. Some being those to help folks with get mental health services. There's a lot of folks who are suffering from drug addiction. There are a lot of folks who are in need of opportunities. And coming from the historic West Las Vegas area, specifically in Las Vegas Heights, there has been a lack of economic development, which means that if there's a lack of economic development, there's a lack of opportunity, there's a lack of folks being able to, enter the workforce in communities in which they grew up in or live in. And I thought in my mind that I was bold enough to go and try to change that. So, when I was walking doors as a candidate before I was elected in 2016, I found out some of the key issues that folks really cared about. And to name a few, it started with criminal justice reform. We have a lot of folks who, have been to prison because they had less than an ounce of marijuana. And we all know what the war on drugs did. That was really a war against a lot of folks who, maybe look like me. And what I wanted to do in the legislature is I wanted to look at ways to right some of those wrongs. As you know, in 2016, voters overwhelmingly passed recreational marijuana. It's great. We identified, funding for schools, 10% tax. We've identified ways to where this new industry would provide jobs. And I'm like, okay, this is phenomenal, but what are we going to do about those who have been convicted of a marijuana-related offense of an ounce or less, right? So I went to the legislature and I worked with a lot of my colleagues, and we said that, okay, if we found a person who has been convicted of a marijuana-related offense of an ounce or less, they should have the ability now to vacate and then seal that record. That got through both chambers. Unfortunately, it was vetoed by the governor.
Oh, no.
And I'm looking to bring that back this next legislative session. So we looked at issues as far as criminal justice reform. We looked at, these are a lot of low-income housing over here, and they aren't as energy efficient as they should be, which means that the electricity bills are higher. These are some of the things that I was hearing at the door. And in the legislature, I sought to attack some of these issues and bring some resolve to the people in District 6, which ultimately will help the entire state. Because what's good for District 6, in my opinion, is good for all the districts across our great state.
Exactly.
So that's some of the things
I find that really when you start to dig into one demographic, because we're all human beings, you'll find that a lot of problems are just universal, and when you tackle those issues, it is going to have a universal effect in helping everyone.
Right.
And I admire your courage and your tenacity to just want to make a change, and it's been quite a journey for you, and I really thank you for recognizing the needs of your community and rolling up your sleeves and getting right in there and saying, hey, I'm going to be a part of the solution. So I thank you for that.
Right. Thank you. I'm happy to serve.
So, William, what would you say to encourage? What would you say to encourage other young people out there to get involved like you did?
Well,
To let them know that they can make a difference like you have.
Well, one thing that I would say is no matter what your circumstances, no matter where you come from, there is always room for growth. There's always an opportunity for you to be involved with creating real change. Right now, you have a lot of students who may not ever have the opportunity to go to college because they are being priced out of higher education. Mm-hmm. And if I'm a young person today, I am saying that, hey, I need to get involved to make sure that my younger brother or younger sister has an opportunity to get involved. Now is our time. You are never too young to get involved. If you're not eligible to vote, I mean, when I say that, you're not voting age yet, and you're 17, you're 16, you can get involved with campaigns, you can get involved with the party, you can get involved in many areas to actually affect positive change. So to the young people, I would say now is our time. We can actually create real change. We can actually look at college affordability. As you know, with the Board of Regents, we have a very important race that's up, and know who your candidates are. I'm in the booth right now with Joe Cato, who's also running.
Hi,
Right.
Joe. Joe stopped by. Hi, Joe. Okay.
So we know that there are folks who actually understands the issues that most young people care about. And education is one of them. College affordability is one of the issues, for sure.
Okay.
That's going to encourage us to get involved as young people. And I would say to all young people who are listening, hopefully you're not listening, you're in school. But if you are young and not involved, this is your opportunity.
Thank you so much, William, for coming and speaking to the audience and encouraging them and telling them your story. We appreciate you so much. And we would also like to encourage the people out there to get involved. You don't necessarily have to go across town and knock on doors. Go and knock on the doors in your neighborhood. There's people in your block that might need to get out to vote. We need every vote that we could possibly get this election, okay?
And also I want to say, if you don't have because we have busy lives, if you don't have the time to do anything else, it takes less than 5 minutes to vote. So we have no excuses voting here in Nevada. Anywhere that there's a polling place, you can go in, give them your name, and vote. It literally takes less than 5 minutes. It takes less time to argue with someone on Facebook. It takes less time to protest in the streets. And voting has more of an impact. It helps keep people like William McCurdy in office. It helps keep people in office that's going to understand and fight for issues that you're passionate about. One of the things I wanted to ask you, William, as the chair of Nevada State Democratic Party, I wanted to just touch base with you about the recent allegations that Trump had made about the Democrats colluding with Dr. Blasey Ford to try to stop Kavanaugh. I wanted to quote Susan Collins was saying that she believes that something happened, that Blasey Ford was assaulted, but she does not believe that Kavanaugh was her assailant. What do you make of all of this?
Number one, I would say that it's extremely disgusting that the President of the United States would, number one, attack a brave woman's character for coming forward just so she can bring to light something that happened to her, and so that we can possibly prevent someone who has this type of characteristics from being nominated to the highest court of the land. Mm-hmm. I think that it is a great injustice to her. It is a great injustice to women. It is a great injustice to our country for him to behave in this manner. That is disgusting.
Yeah, and to mock at a rally.
And I condemn that at a rally. He is trying to distort reality for many of us. And we should be praising her for coming forward and speaking out about something that happened to her that was so personal.
Yeah.
And that took a tremendous amount of courage for her to come forward.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. Now, what would you tell those who want to sit out this election because it's not a big presidential election? What would you say to encourage those to just don't sit this one out?
Well, I can say that everyone that touches our lives are interested in politics. Our bosses are interested in politics. Our insurance companies are interested in politics. Our landlords, our business owners, they're all interested in politics. So we should be engaged in politics.
Mm-hmm.
We have the power.
It controls our lives.
We have the power to create change. Everything is at stake right now, from healthcare to civil rights to women's rights. Everything is at stake, and we have a very important ballot initiative that's going to be on this upcoming ballot, and it's question 3. And I believe that we're going to have some very, very key information brought forward to us this morning. But
Yes,
it is
sure.
our time.
Thank you.
Early voting is starts October 20th.
Yep. Good.
It ends November 2nd. Make sure you have your voice heard this election cycle. And election day is on November 6th. And I believe that we will win this upcoming election cycle. And also,
We're looking for the blue wave.
I'm looking forward to hearing from question 3.
Okay, thank you very much.
So
Thank you
for
much.
coming in.
Thank you. Okay, then that leads us right into, we have Tracy's Scannandora, I'm sorry, Tracy. And she's going to answer some questions about question number 3. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. I know a lot of you people out there have questions about question 3 and what it's all about, because I know I do. I'm trying to understand what it's about it. Tracy, could you give us a little information about question 3 and what people should know and why they should vote? No?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Well, first I want to say it was great to hear from you, and I'm a longtime Nevadan. I've been here 25 years. I'm a UNLV alum graduate of the Greenspan School of Communications as well, so go Rebels.
All right, go Rebels.
So question 3, I represent the coalition to defeat question 3. And we have thousands of members that have come together to oppose this because they're really concerned about the risks and costs associated with this ballot measure, and it's a deeply flawed ballot measure at that. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the coalition, but let me just kind of lay out the basic information about what is question 3 and what it means.
Yes, please do.
It is, as I shared, a ballot measure that is on this November's ballot. And what it would do is it's a constitutional amendment that would dismantle and deregulate our current electricity system, and it would leave it to the state legislature and the courts to determine how to implement a new unknown kind of electricity system if this passes.
Wow.
And the concern is many things, but it's risky and costly. So let's kind of talk about the risks. The risks are that no other state in our country has ever attempted to deregulate their electricity market through a constitutional amendment. And the reality is it doesn't belong in the Constitution.
It doesn't.
No.
It's when things go wrong, it would take a minimum of 4 years, and some have even forecasted upwards of 6 to 8 years to reverse course and pull it from our Constitution when things go wrong.
Yeah,
and the reality is third-party, organizations like the Gwynn Center, they did an independent investigatory report on question 3 so we could figure out what does this really mean? What does this mean to consumers if this passes? And among many things they outlined, which we can talk more about some of the risks they outlined, one of the things they found is, if question 3 passes and our state legislators determine this would be bad for Nevada, our electricity rates would go up, it just won't work. It would be disastrous to our renewables and rooftop solar customers and so forth. Mm-hmm. Because it would be locked into our state constitution, our legislators would be forced to walk the plank no matter what, all the while costing taxpayers billions of dollars for this mistake. So that's kind of the first part, that this whole constitutional amendment piece of the proposed ballot measure, it's just way too concerning, and there's too many uncertainties and risks behind that. And again, it just doesn't belong in the Constitution. The other factors are that rates really are going to go up. And it's unfortunate that the proponents on the yes side, you see many ads. I'm sure everyone is flooded on their TVs with ads from both the yes and no side. Electricity rates in every state that has attempted electricity deregulation, there were 24 that have ever attempted this. There are only 14 states remaining today, and in those 14 states, they have all experienced higher electricity rates. They have also experienced a less reliable electricity system. So what does that mean to consumers? That means that we would be susceptible to things like rolling blackouts,
Oh my goodness.
to things like rate hikes, to things like if the price of natural gas goes up, us as consumers, because our market would be deregulated if question 3 passes, we would be exposed to the market volatility, the price of natural gas fluctuating, and that gets passed on to ratepayers and consumers. Whereas today, in our current electricity model, yes, there is majority a monopoly model, but there's something to be said for that because it's a regulated monopoly model. They are regulated by the Public Utilities Commission. We have one of the most reliable electricity systems in the country today with the lowest rates in the country today.
So Tracy, let's remind the audience out there, you're proposing, what is your proposal for question 3? Are you saying that they...
I'm saying no. We need to vote no.
So we
on
must
3.
now understand that she is saying no, that you should vote no to question 3 so they can understand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It will raise our electricity rates. It is not what the yes on 3 side is making it appear to be. Our rates will be higher. And we've also seen in those other markets that the other states that have attempted electricity deregulation, one of the scary parts about it is that these electricity companies that enter a market that deregulates, they actually practice something called predatory marketing scams, and they target customers like seniors and those on low and fixed incomes, and they lock them into long-term contracts with an initial teaser rate. And as soon as that teaser rate expires after a year, for example, their rate goes up 2 and 3 times. And guess what? They're locked into, say, a 5-year contract where if they want to exit that contract, they have to spend about $400 to exit it. And these are the things happening in markets like Texas and in Massachusetts, in Illinois, in Pennsylvania, and the list goes on. I mean, you could literally
Well, it
use...
seems like it's quite a risk that Nevadans should not take with deregulating our electric system, especially when this ballot seeks to sort of really ingrain and dig it into our Constitution.
Right.
So this is one of the instances where having choice is not beneficial to the general public. I can't imagine it being 110, darn near 120 degrees outside in Vegas and the electricity just totally goes out. So
That's
definitely
insane.
No on 3. No on 3
Absolutely.
myself.
And you're absolutely right. That's what's happening in states like California. When they deregulated their electricity market, I don't know if anyone remembers the Western energy crisis. When they deregulated their electricity market, customers experienced rolling blackouts. So imagine a senior couple that relies on home medical equipment, and they have an interruption in their electricity service. And this has happened to dozens and dozens of Californians that have now relocated to Nevada to retire here. They all have reached out to us and have said, this is a bad idea. We lived in California. We lived through the rolling blackouts. Our health was at risk because of it, because we didn't have reliable electricity and access to reliable electricity. Their lives depended on home medical equipment, and it was a constant problem for them.
And also
because of it.
refrigeration. You know, people have to have things like insulin and just their food.
Medication.
And all
I
kinds
mean,
of
can't
things.
afford to go without any electricity.
Can't
Absolutely.
afford for the electricity to just be out like that. The weather in the summertime is
Absolutely.
too much.
And again, there's something to be said for the fact that today, Nevada's electricity rates are already 17% below the national average. We're already among the lowest in the country for having
I'm
reliable and
coming
affordable
from
rates.
Philadelphia. I'm very satisfied with, even when I run the AC all day and night long in the summertime, I'm very satisfied with what I have with
Right.
NV Energy.
Right.
Yeah, the rates are rather it's competitive. It's good.
Absolutely, absolutely. And going back to those states that do have deregulated electricity markets, their electricity rates are 30% higher than Nevada's rates today. So why, it's almost like question 3 is trying to solve for a problem we don't have in the state of Nevada. We have a reliable electricity system.
Exactly.
And I think it's important for voters to look at who's really behind the yes on 3, who's really behind this ballot measure. How did this get created, right? And the reality is it's 2 large corporations, Las Vegas Sands Corporation and Switch, the large data center here. They both are behind question 3, and they have very business interests if this passes. And that's just the reality of it, that if question 3 passes, the only ones that have something to gain and benefit is large corporations and large energy users. That's it. They would benefit on the backs of small businesses and residential ratepayers, because we would all have higher electricity rates and they would have something to gain.
Well, I've always heard that if it's not broke, why try to fix it? I mean, it seemed to be working,
Exactly.
here in Las Vegas, and I'm pleased with it. My electric bill is reasonable, and I couldn't imagine a blackout in Las Vegas as hot as it was this summer. Oh, please. No, we
It would
can't
be
deal with
terrible.
that.
It would be
Okay.
terrible. Yep. I
Let
agree.
me interject right here. This is Joe.
And this is Joe Cato.
We have organizations like the Urban Chamber of Commerce and AARP that is backing this ballot measure. So it's not oftentimes that the chamber would come out and support measures, but in this case they are, because it impacts business owners just like myself, because I'm a small business owner, and this would affect me as well, and many other small business owners. It affects the seniors that are on fixed income, and as well as AARP. They are one of the vocal groups here when it comes to going before the Nevada Public Utilities Commission, and in this instance they're supporting this measure. So vote no on 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want you to understand out there that they're saying vote no on 3, and you understand they explain to you the reasoning why you should be voting no on 3. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Tracy, one other question that I might have. What about the NB Energy being a monopoly? Some people have a question about that.
Sure,
How
sure.
does that affect?
Sure, it's a valid question. So MV Energy, they do provide obviously electricity service to the majority of our state, although they are not the sole provider. In kind of rural Nevada and northern Nevada areas, there are actually 14 rural electric cooperatives that provide service to those rural areas that are kind of the harder to reach areas. All 14 of those co-ops oppose question 3, by the way. But I think, going back to MV Energy, there is something to be said for having one exclusive provider where you have reliable electricity, because electricity is not our normal goods and services. Electricity is something all of us need to live and
Yes,
rely on
definitely.
to run our homes, run your businesses, run the radio station. If we don't have that reliable system, we are susceptible to higher rates and a less reliable electricity system like the rolling blackouts. And the reality is people may like to hate on monopolies, but that someone like MV Energy, they have provided this reliable system to the state of Nevada. They have kept our rates low and affordable. They have
perfected it.
They are currently
They are
regulated by the
regulated,
PUC,
Yes, they
by
are.
the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada, and they they make the investments necessary in the infrastructure here. And the reality is, if we deregulate our electricity market, these new electricity companies that could enter this market, they're not going to make the investments in infrastructure the way MV Energy has. They're not going to make the investments in renewable energy projects to advance renewables in our state. That's what MV Energy is doing.
And they can really charge whatever they want.
Absolutely.
And
They
one
could.
person raises theirs, and the other companies say, well, I'm going to raise ours. And then they just keep raising it. And next thing you know, it's just so unaffordable to the average person because there's no regulation there.
Absolutely. And the concern is, if question 3 passes, in addition to locking it in our state constitution, and I want to make sure people understand the severity of that.
And
Locking
really
this-
question why they would even want to lock it in the
Absolutely.
Constitution.
Absolutely.
In the
makes me not
Constitution,
trust it
please.
right there.
Well, what they say is they have to do that because they don't trust our legislators that they will implement this the right way. So they want to lock it in the Constitution, which forces them. But then in the same breath, the proponents on the yes side are saying, we're going to leave it to our state legislators to determine how to implement this new system. So which is it? Do you trust the legislators or do you not trust the legislators? So that's very conflicting information that they pose. But one thing you brought up that I want to just reiterate and talk more about is the Public Utilities Commission and the regulation piece of this. If question 3 passes, this is deregulation. The yes side will try and tell you this is just restructuring. We're just restructuring things. No, we're not. We are deregulating our electricity market. And the piece the Public Utilities Commission will have zero oversight and regulation over is our electricity rates. And I'm here to tell you as a consumer, I think that's what all of us care about.
Yes.
How is this going to affect my rates? And guess what? The PUC will have absolutely no oversight and no regulation ability to oversee the rates and the contracts these new electricity companies that would enter this market could impose on all of us as consumers. There will be zero regulation over that, because if the PUC tried, they would then be infringing on those businesses' constitutional right to do business in the state. So there is a ton of risks behind that by exposing all of us as ratepayers and taxpayers in the state to that type of volatility in the market.
So it's very important that you vote no on question 3. No on question
Vote
3.
no on 3.
No, on 3.
Tracy has explained to you all the things that could happen if it passes, and we don't want it to pass. And so, it is also co-signed by Joe Cato.
No on 3.
And Joe Cato is also a candidate for
University Region District 1.
Yes. Hi, Joe. How
Hi.
you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you both for coming in.
you.
And Joe, we hope to see you soon.
Real soon.
And we talk more about your candidacy for regent.
Okay.
And
Yes,
thank
I
you
look
so
forward
much
to
for
it.
coming
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you
And
so much.
remember, guys, no on 3.
No on 3.
All right.
I just have a quick announcement. The DNC Black Caucus is having a Western Regional Leadership Summit. A big shout out to Travis Nelson. That's going to be this weekend.
He's the chairman of the regional.
Travis Nelson is the chairman of the Western Regional Black Democratic Caucus, correct?
No, the regional, regional period.
Okay, the whole region.
Yeah.
Western region. And
he's
we're
a young
having
millennial also.
Western Regional Leadership Summit this weekend, October 12th and 13th.
Where is
Look
it
to
being
Facebook
held?
for more information on that. Look to Facebook for more information on that. I just want to say, if you want to reach the Village Voice radio show, contact us at villagevoices@gmail.com. villagevoices@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you have a story you want to share, or if you want to sponsor this show, villagevoices@gmail.com.
And thank you for coming in, getting in tune with us, staying in tune with us. Village Voices is also sponsored by Premier Paralegal and Notary Services. And you can, there's a notary, 24-hour notary service and document preparation service. You can reach Premier Paralegal by calling 702-726-6815. Also, we want to get a shout out to Extreme Realty and Property Management. If you need property management, they are the best. The 20 years of experience, they treat your property just like they treat their own. They collect your rent and send you your check every month. So if you
All right, everybody. You've been listening to the Village Voices. That's Miriam Gibson, and I'm Shannon Churchwell.
Hello.
Thank you all for listening.
all right, thank you. Thank you very much for everything. Later, people.
McCurdy's talking to the young people about voting. That's so nice. No one, I don't know if you guys can really, it's so sunny out here. It's always sunny in Vegas. But, that's one of the reasons why I'm a Democrat, is because we care about all of the demographics, all of the people, and to me, that's a true definition of what America is. Young, old, Black, Asian, white, Hispanic, mixed, Muslim, Christian, atheist, whatever you are, you're a part of the quilt that makes America. And it's very important for everyone to feel like they matter, because they do. This is Shannon Churchwell from the Village Voices Live. We just did our live radio show, Miriam, Gibson, and I. And I hope all of you have a beautiful day. Prayers to those in Florida who's going through the storm. That's one of the reasons why I live in Las Vegas. We never have inclement weather out here. The most we have to worry about is it being too hot. And we do see a lot of people moving to Vegas because they were flood victims, hurricane victims. They're just tired of the blizzards and all of the different things that happen in the states that they are coming from. So this is sort of like a place that never has any bad weather. So that's one of the reasons why I like staying here. But my prayers definitely are going to all of those in Florida who's experiencing the hurricane. Yeah, prayers go out to you, as always. All right, this is Shannon Churchwell signing off. Toodles, enjoy your day. Remember, if you woke up this morning, God has blessed you. He has kissed you on your forehead. So be happy and stay positive. If you focus on negative things, it will expand. If you focus on positive things, that will expand. So have a good one. Bye-bye.